It's a beautiful Saturday and we are back on your screens with nothing but the best in terms of sports. And when we say sports, we mean giving you all the highlights that took place within the course of the weekend yesterday, as we saw our under-20 women's team beating Malawi by 6-0. And I'm your host, Amos aka, and I'm not alone as always. I'm with my two gents. Ango Rapson.
Good morning, dear viewers, and it's always a pleasure to be here. It was a very, very nice sporting weekend. We had a couple of games during the week, and it was nice to watch the girls yesterday play against Malawi. We'll get into those details, but it's been a very, very fantastic week. We thank God that we are alive and we are able to come and chat and just share with our viewers out there what has been happening in the world of sport.
Augustine, I know it's been a disappointing week for you because Ango Rapson was busy on you in the group when the airmen crashed to Karampa. But how has been your week anyway?
Yeah, first of all, we turn all the glory and honor to the Most High God for the gift of life and good health. We would like to thank the viewers out there for joining us this morning. We are nothing without the viewers, and it was always going to be tough. Red Arrows going to Nkana Stadium. I think the last time they beat Nkana was 2016, so it was always going to be difficult. I think psychologically, you go into such games, you realize these guys have been beating us, or the best result to get is a draw. But Nkana should enjoy it while it lasts, because there was a time Red Arrows went 10 years unbeaten at Nkana Stadium. So they should enjoy it. The last, I think after, in 2014 was it, when they won the league? Was it 2014 under Massa also?
18.
Yeah, that when they broke that 10-year record, when Arrows had gone 10 years at Nkana Stadium not been beaten.
But it's now 5 years. Yeah, never beaten.
Then I'm up on a bit on how the girls played yesterday, because you were there covering the game.
A fantastic game it was yesterday. Kudos to the young girl Enele Spirit for the hat trick, and the entire squad just performed. Oh, by the way, we had our 4th Republican president as one of our guests, and it was a very, very nice thing to see the big man cheering the girls, and it was good to see Andrew Kamanga also giving support to the girls, and fantastic performance. The hat-trick girl, Enele Spirit, very young, very energetic, very fast. The left winger on the left side of the pitch, wearing shirt number 11. Can I remember the name? I think I'll be able to recall the name. Very, very good player, and I think overall, the 6-0 bashing of Malawi gives me hope that the ladies national team, the senior team, should be able to be very wary at the moment, because the young girls are playing very, very good football, if you ask me. I was even asking myself to say probably I've been wasting a lot of time trying to watch the men's national team, which doesn't give me that joy that I had yesterday. The display, the discipline in defense by the girls, the fantastic goalkeeping the game was very, very much on point. And for me, really, the girls have, the sky is the limit for themselves.
Should we say
perfect performance?
Augustine, should we say it's a result that you expected, or it's something that was of a surprise to you?
I think looking at the way Zambia football in terms of the women's game has grown compared to Malawi, I think it was always going to be Zambia the favorites. I think it would have been a disappointment if we had lost that game, but I think if you look at these lads, they came through the under-17, now into the under-20. I think they have been exposed at this international level for some time now, and what we need to do is just to invest heavily in these young girls. I think there's a lot of positivity. One of the captain, Katongo, I think she was part of the team which went to the Tokyo Olympics, so that shows you how these girls are taking strides in their careers. And today, this morning, I met them. They are going back for recovery training. They are taking it serious. I think the technical bench is serious. They are not giving these girls enough time to rest. They are just pushing them so that they reach their targets and qualify for the World Cup, which will be a very, very boost for Zambia.
Should the concentration be transferred to the women's team?
It should be balanced, I think.
It should be balanced, but clearly,
it has to be fair.
But clearly, I think you put in efforts to where you are getting results. Very, very critical. But I think the young girls, because I think they were being watched by the senior women's national team. I think they are also in camp or something. They are preparing for camp. So we had 2 sections. The main team was watching. The under-20 was on the field of play. The young girl who came from the bench, I think it must be Namasiko. Very brilliant substitution that Coach Charles made, and to see the young girl come on the pitch, and the anger to take on the defenders. was there. So at that point, because we had played Emerin as a lone striker for much of the game, he was being supported by Everin, the captain, who was playing in the hole. He was given a free role to play. When the substitutes came, NLS had now support from the right wing and the left wing, and that's what destroyed the Malawans in the second half, because the two substitutions that came in, I think they came in with a lot of zeal to take on the defenders, and the one centre back for Malawi was extremely vulnerable, and she was caught a couple of times napping. But not to take away one thing that I really liked, the right back for the national team. The young girl was dribbling strikers in defense. Not once, but many times. And so much on point. Where she stops the ball, the striker is coming, trying to harass her. Instead of kicking the ball up front, she would just dribble the girl and pass the ball. That is one defender who never kicked a long ball from defense, crossing the center half and going up. She was always willing to find the midfielder to pass on the ball to. Fantastic defensive characteristics from the young girl.
A quick one, Augustine. The return leg is on the 9th of October. How should we take the return leg? Should we take it lightly because of how we've won at home, or maybe we should go for it in a serious mode?
I think what Zambia should have in mind if they can score 6 goals here in Zambia, what can stop Malawi from scoring 6 goals in their own backyard? I think that should be in the back of the girls' mind. It's a game of 290 minutes, so the first 90 minutes, the first half has been played here in Zambia. The second half will be played in Malawi. You do not know what you are going to face when you go to Malawi, so you have to take everything seriously. They have to go there, try and play for a victory and progress into the next round.
And it was just a quick one in terms of how the games were being played, or how the game was played between Zambia and Malawi, and we managed to beat Malawi by 6 goals to 0, and the return leg is on the 6th of October. But we'll just take a very short break as we come back and analyze the games that were played midweek, starting with the Red Arrows versus Nkana game, because it was very highly anticipated by the two lads here. We'll just take a very short break.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Bondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Make your payments through mobile money for MTN 096 296 5883. For Airtel, 097-975-3010. Our banking details are 913-000-182-5325. Stanbic Bank, Kablonga Branch.
A wonderful midweek that we had, 4 of games and 4 of disappointments in terms of big teams that played. Let me just run through the games that were played. I'll start with the game that was being played. That was on the 22nd of September 2021. Forest Rangers were beaten by Beautycon by 2-1. A Beautycon team that Ango Rapson has doubted them, but we'll come to that anyway. And then we had Green Buffaloes versus Zanaco. Green Buffaloes managed to beat Zanaco by 2-0. Prison Leopards versus Power Dynamos. Prison Leopards beating Power Dynamos by 2-1. We had Green Eagles drawing against Lusaka Dynamos. And then we had Kongola Blades who were beaten by Nkwazi by 1-0. We had Kansanshi Dynamos versus Kawe Warriors, and Kansanshi Dynamos managed to beat Kawe Warriors by 1-0. We had Zesco United versus Chambeshi, and Zesco United managed to beat Chambeshi by 2-0. We had Kafue Celtic, a team that Augustine predicted that they'll go down and they'll go back, playing the Eden League, who were beaten by Indeni by 2-1. But the biggest talking point for today for me, I feel like, is the disappointing start into the season for Power Dynamos, who were beaten by Prison Leopards. Goals being scored by players again who were doubted by one of my colleagues here, Conrad Lutanga and Zakaria Chilongoshi. Ango Rapson, where is the issue at Power Dynamos? The Power Dynamos that has managed to produce players like Rari Warrior. But what's up now? What's wrong?
Yeah, very difficult circumstances if you ask me. And there are only 2 teams in the Premier League with 100% record if you ask me. One is Beautycon leading the log at 100% performance. Then there's also Power Dynamos at 100% performance negatively. So those have not won a single game this season. They don't have a single point this season, and it's always very disappointing to see such a big club get into this particular stage. But I think for one, I have great appreciation that the executive has been making a lot of changes on the technical bench, trying to probably convince the fans and the soccer-loving fraternity that probably what has been going wrong has been the technical bench. They've made quite a couple of changes. We had a couple of coaches that came in and went out in a very, very short space of time. The last one to leave that job was actually Perry Mtapa, who's now with Napsa Stars Football Club. We have Masao Sotembo now being assisted by Songo Charwe. The results are still not going their way. Big step in the right direction. Power Dynamos have made some dramatic changes, as announced in the course of the week by the CEO of CEC. We have Mr. Mwale, who's been appointed as chairman, being assisted by Mr. Menzo as vice chairman, plus a couple of changes in the executive, hoping that they'll start grinding a different result now. And for me, really fantastic move in the right direction for Power Dynamos to make those changes. The game is not only won on the pitch, it starts from the back room. And the back room starts with the executive. These EXCO members, they've had their own ups and downs in the past, which they were not seeing. Every blame was coming to the technical bench and the players. Of course, they've had a couple of high-profile players who've left Power Dynamos with very, very average replacements, if you ask me. But I think over and above that, for the first time in a very, very long time, a board decision has been made at Power Dynamos Football Club.
Well, I think in the past few talks that we've had here, Augustine once spoke of how these teams are failing to have people who are in the mindset of football to say they'll manage the team. Would you say Power Dynamos is now heading the right direction?
I think that remains to be seen on Power Dynamos. I think for a very, very long time, these changes have been inevitable at Power Dynamos, if you have to be honest. They have changed the coaches, they have changed the team, but they haven't been changing enough of those, the executive members who are really the guys that are calling the major calls at Power Dynamos. It all starts and ends with the manager, yes, because he's the one who picks the lineup which goes on to the field of play. Coming back to Power Dynamos, if you looked in the last 5-6 years, how many major signings have Power Dynamos made? I think to me, if you look at, I think you struggle. the recent signing which looked positive from Power Dynamos, I think it was Spencer Sao to go into to Power Dynamos from Guinea, which was a one-season loan. They have failed to attract top class players. They went and got a flow from Kenya, was it of Ethiopia. Those are the kind of players Power Dynamos are getting. You get a David Daka, he doesn't score. How do you bring him to Power Dynamos and expect positive results? If you look at these coaches, yes, they are getting the sack, but the management has always been failing these coaches. If you remember when Pei Mutapa went into Power Dynamos, he went and stabilized the ship, and then he demanded for players in the transfer market, which didn't come to pass. And when they lost at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium, he was on point to say, I can only recommend players to the executive, and they have to deliver to me, and they didn't do that. You can see now Power Dynamos struggled, especially in terms of scoring goals. They never had someone who can score goals because they have got strikers. One BESTON band, a young player who was really hitting the headlines when he was at Circuit City. What happens when he goes at Power Dynamos? He goes down. You look at Kennedy Musonda, he's not the kind of guy who will go at you 10, 20 goals in a season. Probably the most he'll score is 6 or 7. Is that enough for a team like Power Dynamos to get into continental football or win the league title? I don't think so. If you look at the top class players that have left Power Dynamos, the likes of Benson Sakala, Rally Warrior, have they been replaced? No. They have got potential, a little potential in that Power Dynamos team. The likes of the young Joshua Mutale, he's got potential. The young Soko in defense, he's got potential. But it has to reach a point where they start producing results. You look at there have been disappointing individual performances from some Power Dynamos players like Makwaza. A lot was expected from Makwaza when he burst onto the scene from Power Dynamos, from the young youth structures. He came into the senior team. He had decent performances, but he has lost his way at Power Dynamos. It's such kind of things that get you thinking, what's really happening at Power Dynamos? I think one thing that a lot of people are running away from is that Power Dynamos do not have the money people think Power Dynamos have. Let's just be honest. I think if we are going to look at is Power Dynamos still attractive? I don't think so. If Nkana we're looking for a player, Power Dynamos, Zesco and Zanako, Power Dynamos would be the last option.
Let's just speak this call, Augustine. Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm okay. My name is Wadia.
Oh, okay.
Wadia.
I just wanted to make a contribution.
Oh, okay. You can go ahead, Mr. Wadia.
Yes. You know, Zambia is a big deal when it comes to football. Through the history of Zambia, you remember we became second in 1984, almost getting the cup. And in 2012, we finally got to the cup. My concern is looking at the players that Chambeshi is using currently. You know, these are local players that are fighting against one of the best world players. So it is very vital that he should choose the players who have experience. And not just local players. You know, experience matters all. We have a loophole in the defense here. You saw what happened in the previous game, where we scored 2-0 at our home. Why would the likes of Scotland Suzu be brought back? Nathan Sikalabea, Renford Kalama, Ishimesuma is also available. Why would those players be brought back? Because football is not about just mere names, but experience. Of course, we have the likes of Patson Daka and the Enoch, but those are just coming on the scene. Okay?
Yes.
So, I mean, to me, that game would be tough because it's like we are using our local players and we are not having it in mind to say, this is a World Cup. It's not a Premier League, that's a Premier League, it's a World Cup. So we need classical players. Thank you very much. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wadia.
Yeah, and on closing on Power Dynamos, I think I know at the end of the day, if it doesn't go well against Forest Rangers, probably the blame will be on Masauso and he may just get the sack. But what can Masauso do? I think he's just been given dead wood to work with, if we have to be honest. I think he doesn't have quality. If you look at the only quality player Power Dynamos realistically have, it's Godfrey Ngwenya. And I feel for Godfrey Ngwenya, because he has a lot to do at Power Dynamos, he has to create, he has to score goals, and he has to galvanize the team. I think to me it's a very, very big job for him. Raphael Makubuli, he's been disappointing at the back, and he's one of the veterans in that Power Dynamos team. They need leadership, Power Dynamos.
Are we seeing a different result today, Angorapton, as they face Forest Rangers after Davis?
Well, Forest Rangers is also very, very wounded, if you ask me. I think they were recently beaten. I think they lost to, I think it was Beautycon. So they are also coming from a loss. And you know, at this point, every coach wants to maintain a certain level of performance to protect their job. It will be a very, very difficult encounter for Power Dynamos. I know the executive has changed, and if only we can have proper psyching of the players, and psyching the players by motivating them heavily. It's not about financial motivation. It's about raising their spirits, telling the players that we believe in you as an executive and that you are the right people for the right job. Very, very difficult to turn things around, especially if you have no psychiatric experience that can actually do that kind of psyching of the players. But I think it will be a very, very difficult game for Masaso Tembo. Forest Rangers has a very, very good squad. They recently signed a couple of players, and
one interesting is Eric Chomba. He's hit the ground running at Forest Rangers.
That is you know, Eric Chomba, and of course Bono given a chance. No. We spoke about him last week. But I was very surprised that he was even part of the squad. And
he was a
starter for that matter.
I don't know. I don't know. He started the match and they lost to Beautycon, and I'm only hoping that things can be looked at very, very differently. But for this game against Power Dynamos, really, it's a make or break tie for Masaso Tembo and his technical bench. The executive, the CEO, has done what they can by making those drastic changes in the executive. So it's now up to, we've got a caller on the line.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Your name and where you are calling us from? Oh, okay. You can go ahead with your contribution, sir. Come again? Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, yeah, my question is on the Power Dynamos issue and the current happening there. Yeah, I think differ with Augustine's opinion concerning to say Power Dynamos does not have money. What I see in modern football is that, you know, when you have an executive that is less ambitious, it has got a, you know, it has a huge show, or especially of the results of the team. I'll give you, for example, I once saw what happened with Zanaco. Zanaco was quite alright, they were not doing results. But the very moment that Marlon Canada came on board, we saw a different Zanaco today. So that tells something about being ambitious in the boardroom, and you know the result will be translated on the field. I almost starting to materialize that Power Dynamos, I think it was matter of this. But you know, along the road we saw a lot of hiccups. So my question is, you know, if you don't have an ambitious executive, that's the main reason, and that's what is in Power Dynamos.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't have an ambitious executive, they don't have their good growth, they don't have, you know, modern football is evolving around mindsets that are, you know, that are very ambitious. If you say, okay, we want the best player, we want to achieve, this is our target for the season, you can write them down on paper, but if you are not ambitious as an executive, you are not saying, okay, you are going to go for a goal season, you're going to look around the globe. We're not going to go for a non-focused striker. We're going to go for a best goal season player. We look in Cameroon, we look in... you can even go beyond and look in Asia. There are all sorts of players and things of work. That's what ambitious executive. So that is what is killing Power Dynamos at the moment. For me, it's not even the coaching issue. No. If if the executive is that is less ambitious. What is just United, season in, season out, they are doing well in continental football, you know, they are using results. Because they've got an ambitious executive. They've got an ambitious executive that is ready to go an extra mile just to see, you know, season in, season out, they are testing, they are better, you know, they are bringing all things together. So that is what is lacking, especially in Latvian football at the moment. I really not only that was Power Dynamos, but I can even, you know, go across borders and you know, many Latvian clubs, they are less than little.
Thank you.
For example, look at Midfield Musaka, we didn't mention next.
Sorry, we've lost the caller.
I think we've lost the caller, but he's got a point there,
Yeah,
the same
if I
point
can just
you were
react to what we were saying. I didn't get his name. You
can react.
So I think the one good thing is that he's talked about what we have been talking about the executive letting down Power Dynamos. I personally thought Penny Mutapa was the right guy to take Power Dynamos to the next level if they had invested in that squad, if they had backed him in the transfer market. What I was trying to say was, Power Dynamos do not have the money we think Power Dynamos have. Not necessarily that Power Dynamos are broke or they do not have money. You might have a 50 kwacha in your pocket when someone thinks you've got a 1,000. That's what I was trying to say. The money we think Power Dynamos have is not actually the money Power Dynamos have.
That is Augustine's opinion, but I think
that's my opinion.
I'll beg to differ with him on that one. Power Dynamos, resources they have. The biggest mistake that I see is player identification.
But if we talk about resources, we have to see them investing if they really have those resources.
The biggest problem, in my opinion, is player identification. Look at what Zesco United did in this transfer market. Edward Tembo, Quito United, getting into Eden. The guy is a marvel to watch. What does Numba do? He's got a team of backroom staff that identify talent. Have you seen what the guy is doing at Zesco United? Who would think that he was in a team that has gone to Division 1? Nobody. It's purely on player identification, getting the right stuff. Money, yes, it's something that we can discuss. It's neither here nor there because we have no facts. But the fact is, player identification is very, very key.
But looking from a distance, you realize Power Dynamos, Perry Mutapa, when he was in charge, he had identified Power Dynamos are lacking in terms of goals, and he identified who the guy he had worked with at Forest Rangers, Adam Zikri. What did Power Dynamos do?
They never moved in. Let's go. This afternoon's game, Power Dynamos versus
Forest
Rangers, very tough game for Masao Sotembo and his crew, and he's got to revamp the winning mentality in the players, and he only has a few hours to show that.
Last week,
one interesting fact about this game is that the pendulum may just swing. Once Power Dynamos get that victory against Forest Rangers, the pressure turns to TC. Because he has had the mixed start to the season. One victory, one defeat, and one draw. With that investment which the Forest Rangers had put in that team, if he doesn't get a result against Power Dynamos, it will be a poor start for.
But are we seeing him getting a result? That's the question.
It's tricky. I think it may just end.
It's a game of the weekend.
Yeah, it's the game of the weekend for sure.
Last week we spoke of how Ghana got back to its poor starting, and they started the way they ended the season. Should we say it's a turning point with the 1-0 win that they had on Red Arrows?
Well, if you recall very well, my analysis of the performance of Nkana Football Club versus Nkwazi, I watched that game end to end. The performance of the team, like I said last week, was not bad. Not bad at all. We were playing high-tempo game, scoring goals. Of course, we conceded 2 quick goals. We recovered, it went to 2-2. The goalkeeper made the blunder, it went to 3-2. The overall performance of that game, like I said last week, was all right. And I kept my faith in the team. I said, that team will be a very, very different team to watch this season. We waited for these guys who came with a plane. All the way, they landed, they came to Kitwe. We did what we know what to do at Nkana Stadium. Nkana scored a lone goal, Glero Chimwemwe. From that fantastic free kick, the game ended 1-0. Nkana Football Club, 1 game, 1 win, 1 game, 1 loss. So we've played 2, 1-1. They played 2, 1-1, and lost 1, which is not a very, 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 very bad situation at the moment, looking at the performance against Nkwazi, I've got a lot of faith in that team, really, if you ask me. Red Arrows, unfortunately, their woes continued at Nkana Stadium. They've never beaten Nkana Football Club in the last 5 years there. And now they went and got exactly what they get every time they go to Kenya. But looking at this weekend's game against Cabo Warriors, Nkana Football Club, the game will be live on SuperSport tomorrow. It will be in Cabo, and I think Nkana Football Club is on the right trajectory. Cabo Warriors have got their own losses. Remember, they went to, is it Kansanshi?
Yes.
Last weekend?
They got beat 1-0. Daniel Chamba.
From flying, they arrived and they were disciplined by Kansanshi Dynamos. Kansanshi Dynamos is a team probably that has assembled a very, very good squad. I think that is where your Bruce is.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where your Bruce is.
Yeah, Red Arrows. Bruce.
A prediction, Uncle Rapson, of last week. There was a prediction, I think last week. There was a prediction that was made to say Beautycon won't survive. But let's look at their state.
I didn't say they won't survive. They will not be found where they are now. Come to week 10. They should be able to be.
They are keeping that position.
You know, they've started fantastically, very, very well, and apparently they are grinding results against teams. The game against Forest Rangers, if you ask me, the game against Green Eagles, if you ask me, those were two tough games for Beautycon. But when you look at those two tough games, and they've gone ahead to grind the result and get the maximum points against those two teams, maybe we should just give them a benefit of a doubt. They could be in for something nice this season.
Augustine, you are one person who predicted, and I'll still ask you, according to your prediction, that you said Kafue Celtic is going nowhere.
Yeah.
Even after that heavy investment.
I'll maintain Kafue Celtic, with the current crop of players they have got a lot of inexperience. You could see when they played for Rangers at Nkana Stadium, you can see that players of who have been in the Premier League and played for so long, they wouldn't be making these kind of schoolboy mistakes. Yeah. So Kafue Celtic are destined for the drop. Chambishi, the game I saw against Zesco United, yes, they will win games at their home ground, because you realize the pitches are not the same when you go away from home. They will try and be difficult to break down. They will try and be aggressive. Whenever you go at their home ground, probably a lot of long balls will be flying into your box. You have to copy against that. They'll go down Chambeshi as well. Then I added Konkola Blades, which Uncle Rapson didn't agree, but I still maintain Konkola Blades. Looking at the distance, I think they'll struggle. You can see a good example. Nkwazi went to
I was very disappointed.
Backyard that got massive 3 points. I think to me, Konkola Blades will also go down. And now the one team I think will be Indeni. Indeni, I do not think Indeni will stay up.
Wow.
Do you agree?
I'm watching Konkola Blades this afternoon. Zanaco Football Club versus Konkola Blades. I will come back with a proper opinion on whether Konkola Blades. I will say I'll go with the Augustine's opinion after I watch them. I watched them play at Woodland Stadium against Lusaka Dynamos, and I think it was a draw. It was a scoreless draw, and the performance that they showed away from home against a very highly rated Lusaka Dynamos, I was quite impressed. Looking at the first game where they beat Power Dynamos, not so convincing. It was a 1-0. They came to Lusaka, visited Lusaka Dynamos at Woodland Stadium. They got a point from away from home. I was like, okay, this team is trying to prove something. Away from home, they're getting a result. Back home, that should be a slaughterhouse. What did the policemen do? The same thing they did to Nkana Football Club. They visited Nkana Football Club. Against all odds, they hammered Nkana.
And they have been very good travelers this season.
Yes,
two away games, 2 victories.
Yes, they lost.
100%.
Yes, yes. Back home, they are not doing too good. I think they lost to.
Must be given to Makenka. I think to me for the job that he's doing. I think you look at.
And he's a quiet guy.
Exactly.
Very little investment. He maximizes on youthful players.
Exactly, and he gets the best out of. There's that one boy. Is it Bernard? Something. He's very, very good. He's a very, very explosive winger. He gets the best out of that young lad. I think Kwasi a team which will be somewhere in mid-table. They will not be troubled by these relegation waters. I think if they put in the
they'll
right
just
investment,
maintain where they end every season.
If they put in the right investment, they'll finish probably number 6, number 7. But if you look at Beautycon, they always flatter to deceive. Right? They started just like this last season. They were in the top 4.
They missed the top 4 right towards the end of the season.
Let's just speak this call. Hello?
Hello, I'm Francis from Mazaboka.
Ah, okay, Mr. Francis, you can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Now look, the performance of Polo lies squarely on the first executive and not on the coaches.
It's power dynamos.
Look, the principal duty of first executive is to ensure that the senior men's team succeeds. It qualifies to Africa Cup tournament every time and that match is in the World Cup. Now, since this first came into power, Chipolo Polo failed to qualify to Africa Cup for a record competitive time.
Since first came into power.
To qualify before. Now, FAS continues to experiment by following coaches from clubs who are also experimenting by featuring young and inexperienced players. Where do we go? As long as this fact is in place, we can never succeed.
Yeah,
my colleagues who are attentive have still stopped watching. Is it too much to ask in the current fast president to revive? Or is it too much to ask the first councillor for the vote of no confidence in the first executive? Thank you very much.
Before you go, are you there? Hello?
Oh, we've lost Mr. Francis.
Mr. Francis, what I would have loved to hear from you, if the call was still on, I would have loved to ask you a very simple question on what action he wants, what hasn't FAS done that he wants them to do differently to get the actual results, to avoid and to prevent his friends who are hypertensive to start watching the games. But unfortunately, he's gone.
I think if you have to talk about the association with regards national team performance, I think sometimes it's a little bit difficult because the association can only appoint a coach and give the right preparation for the national team. But if we have to be honest, Andrew Kamanga has done well with regards giving the national team enough friendlies. The appointment side of coaches, I think he has found it very, very difficult. I think he hasn't found the right person to come in and change the fortunes of Zambian football. I think this is his second term in office. Another 4 years. I think after these 4 years, Mr. Andrew Kamanga will not have any excuses if he fails. I think it will be high time if he doesn't do anything, he will just step down and leave the stage. Because if you remember when he was campaigning before he was president, he promised us that we would delink the league from the association. 4 years down the line, this is number 5. It hasn't happened. He promised us to bring more cup competitions into this land. We still have the ABSA Cup, which was from the previous executive. So I think in that regard, he has failed. He needs to act. I think we need honeymoon time.
He's conquering, Mr. Before we look at the team that was selected by BESTON Chambeshi, let me just give an overview of the games that are being played this weekend. We've got Nkwazi versus Green Eagles that will be played. That's today, 13 hours sharp kickoff. And then we've got Zanaco versus Concola Blades. We've got Indeni versus Zesco United. We've got Power Dynamos versus Forest Rangers. We've got Chambeshi versus Kansanshi Dynamos. We've got Lusaka Dynamos versus Prison Leopards. Tomorrow we've got Kawe Warriors versus Incana, Beautycon versus Kafue Celtic, Red Arrows versus Green Buffaloes. A must-watch game, Augustine, for us.
Yeah, and before just I think interesting thing about these fixtures is that Ngwazi will be playing against Green Eagles at Sunset Stadium in a early kickoff, and there's just one funny thing about these double headers. Ngwazi missed continental football, is it 3 points last season, and most of the games, almost every game they played, which was being shown on SuperSport, they lost because it wasn't played at Edwin Imboela. It was either played at Sunset or Koloma Stadium. I think it's one reason Nkwazi would have said, if we would have played these games at Edwin Imboela, probably would have qualified for continental football. That's an argument for another day.
Let me just give an overview so that maybe this squad will cheer up Mr. Francis. The squad which was named, then we've got Mwenya Chiwe. It's the usual one. We've got Mwenya Chiwe, Grigori Sanjase, Lamek Siame. Those are the goalkeepers that we have selected. And then for the defenders, we've got Benedict.
Again there, before we even proceed in the goalkeeping department, he's added goalkeepers that are not even starters at their clubs. Yes, we are developing these teams, but I think it's a situation where game time also matters.
Matters, yeah.
We have this Lamek boy. He has never started a game.
Has even been on the bench
for Zanaka Football Club. The last game they lost against Green Buffaloes, there was Mangani and Racha. He wasn't even on the bench. So it's something that leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to selecting players.
And you have got two goalkeepers who are competitive in playing. In fact, even Cyril Chiwo, when Leonas did play for his club,
those are issues that ought to
and
be
you have got Costa Sawata, who's starting in South Africa, and you've got Mapulanga from Ghana, who is playing. Why can't you call them?
Let's look at the defending department, James. We've got Benedict Chepeshi, Prosper Chiluya, both Red Arrows. We've got Dominic Chanda, Simon Silwimba, Solomon Sakala, Tandi Mwapei, Isaac Shamujopa, Peter Kalota.
In defense again.
That's in defense.
For me, not too bad in defense. I think the biggest change there, of course, young Solomon Sakala has been given an opportunity to play. And yeah, it's a disaster really, if you ask me. And we really need to. The inclusion of Isaac Shamjompa for me gives me a bit of breath in that defense. And when I look at the right back, Benedict Chepeshi, upcoming young man, very, very talented and very, very disciplined. All he needs is he needs to start believing in himself more than he is at the moment. He's got a lot to learn, but he also needs to believe in himself a lot more and just understand that the mantle that he's carrying for the national team is not as light as it is when he's leading Red Arrows Football Club. He's a very, very good right back. Left back, we have issues there. Rodrick Kawe is one guy that I can't even probably look at his club list. Instead of concentrating on looking for a club now, he's busy being called to the national team. But the beauty about it now is he needs to be given time to look for a team now. He was pushed into the squad against Tunisia. We saw the performance, and BESTON CHAMBESHI'S is a very, very good coach, listening coach. Yes. He saw and he listened and he has acted.
He's a coach for the people.
What is your take about the defense?
I think the defenders, if you look at one thing that what CHAMBESHI has done, he has gone with consistency. I think he picked
consistency in Solomon Sakala
because those are the players he believed in the first place, and he still believes in them to find the right combination and then find the right partnership. If he feels Solomon Sakala and Dominic Chanda, very good pairing. So if he's going to believe in that, he has to be consistent in his selection. And if you look at one interesting selection has been the young boy Peter Kalota. What a selection! I think to me is spot on. He's been fantastic. The boy coming from last season, playing at left back at Zanaco, he's been one of the most players who have been overlooked in the league. He's very, very decent. He's good on the ball. You never see him playing those long balls. He would always find a midfield like Angorapson was playing the under-20 girls right back. He's that kind of a player. You find a midfielder, you open up, he's always closed down. He's not the kind of
Peter
player.
Doesn't kick balls.
Exactly.
He wants to play.
He's not the kind of boy who gets red cards, yellow cards. He doesn't play dirty. He's smart in his way of closing down the wingers. I think the defense, to me, probably a lot of cause to add to Pierre Sunzu to bring experience maybe would have been.
What is he doing in where he is now?
That's the biggest problem. I think the biggest
problem about players that you can't even monitor what they are doing.
Exactly. The biggest problem is about Zambian football and just the football in general, the way we do things. Most people would come and say, why didn't you pick A, B, or C? And then if you ask them, why should we pick these players?
There's no reason.
There's no reason. They'll say there are a lot of players in the league. Then tell them, give me one player who you think is good. They won't give you a name because probably a lot of people do not even follow these players, do not even follow the league. So they are just trying to, just for argument's sake, because this guy did well in 2012. That's why we need him back. I would be realistic. I think that's the biggest question.
Let's look at the midfield department. We've got Enoch Mwepu, Luvambo Msonda, Dixon Chapa, Kelvin Kampamba, Prince Mumba, Felix Pulaya, Cletus Chotachama, Rari Walia. when we look at, you spoke of game time and corruption, but let's look at the game time that these guys are receiving. I'll give an example of one Enoch Mwepu as well.
Well, for Enoch, I think it's okay. It's okay. Remember, he's moving from a league that is one notch below the Premier League, and to get to the level where the coach has a lot of belief in him. A lot of belief in him. He was in isolation, came back, he was on the bench. He couldn't even start the Carabao fixture. But that for me is not really an issue. When you look at the discipline of the boy himself, whether on the bench or he's having game time, he's a fantastic lad when he's given an opportunity to play. And for me, no hard feelings about that midfield. The only credit that I would give and the only thing that I would want Coach BESTON to pay attention to is actually the performance of Felix Ulaya. This boy is a marvel to watch at Red Arrows, and given the consistency that he has at Red Arrows, it's a matter of psyching him and making him believe in himself that he can play as better as Enoch Mwepu, as better as everybody else. He will be a very, very good player, a very, very good addition in the squad.
Augustine, before we go to the strikers, how would you start? Which players would you select in the midfield department according to the players that are here on the paper?
Yeah, I think before we get to the players who are select, I think I talked about consistency in the defense, and now there's no consistency in midfield. How do you start Boyd in 2 games and not calling for this one? I think that's one interesting part.
You see, this is the same thing. No. For me, gentlemen, consistency is giving a player an opportunity once or twice. But to continue even when the guy is negatively contributing to the team, that's unacceptable, really.
But the guy started.
Yes, but it's unacceptable because you've given him an opportunity.
Him on the bench to be part of the team, but
no. You see, when you look at that kind of, if you are going to give that kind of an excuse to say this player has dropped, I mean completely dropped, I think I'll give credit to the coach. Why? He was given 2 good chances to make a difference. The question is, did he make a difference? The answer is no. If in the first game he didn't make a difference, he basically believed in the boy, psyched the boy to say, you know what, I believe in you, you can make a difference. The country is crying, they've watched you play, they haven't done, the expectations of the country have not been delivered by you, but you have a second chance. I'll give you a game against Tunisia. The young lad needs to feel comfortable. That is where consistency should start and end. If I'm going to give you 2 games and you do nothing, the country has a lot of teams. Before we even come to midfielders, the Premier League has 18 teams. Division 1 has we can go down and down and down. The number of midfielders who are looking forward to take that position, they have the anger and the zeal to contribute and just appreciate the badge they are wearing for the national team. 2 games, consistency, perfect. You are not performing, out. Next player.
It's interesting to see that he has maintained Prince Mumba. I think the lad will be an impact player going into these games because now we have got the big guns. Enoch Mwepu is back in the lineup. Cletus Chamachota now I believe is fully fit because there was an excuse that Cletus wasn't fully fit in the previous game. We have got one interesting selection, Rally Walia, back into the lineup, back into the team. I think that's one positive selection because Rally has been doing very well for Simba. You can see the way he creates for Simba, the way he eliminates oppositions for Simba. You add something to that midfield. There was a caller who talked about Nathan Sinkala. Wasn't it the guy they almost skinned alive against Algeria? He was here, Nathan Sinkala. Just a couple of games ago, he played against Algeria. He was almost skinned alive and he was substituted in the first half.
Even Kosafa.
Exactly. So Nathan Sinkala.
We need to move on.
So yeah, we need to
consistency
move on.
ends, it starts and ends at some point.
Yeah, so I think to me, interestingly, the combinations in midfield I think will be wonderful to watch. Probably we'll have a power dynamos flavor in there. Cletus Chamachota.
Former power dynamos.
They have the power dynamos in their blood. Power dynamos flavor. Why do you want to talk about power dynamos flavor? Kelvin Mwanga.
Let's look at the striking department. You've got Fashion Sakala, Patson Daka, Brian Mwila, Moses Piri, Ivan Skangwa. Augustine, you spoke of Moses Piri not being part of the team. Now he's been selected.
Finally, how can your top scorer of the league, not be part of the team, and then you bring Brian Mwina, who scored 7 goals, who was behind with about 10 goals behind the Moses Piri, the guy you are dropping. I think it's simple logic. Moses Piri was the top scorer, is back in the team. We've seen in almost every league in the world, a top scorer is always part of the team which goes to the national team. Whether it's not in the manager's plan, his style of play is different, but that it comes with goals with him. I think you need to add that. You saw Spain with Gerardo Moreno. They trusted the young lad. He just failed on his own. Now we are doing the same. We bring Moses Piri, give him a chance, and if he fails, he fails. Patson Daka, interesting. Maybe these two guys, Patson Daka, Fashion Sakala, are lightning quick. We can play to their strength, play with pace, play with a lot of tempo. And one interesting part is that these guys may not play the game again here in Zambia if Zambia is still in the red zone. Because even in his interview when he scored his first goals for Rangers against Livingstone, he talked about that. Fashion Sakala said, probably I may have to play the away game against Equatorial Guinea and not the home game here in Lusaka.
Like my friend Humphrey Banda would say, Bazo can make a difference. I've got a very good, passionate friend of mine, Humphrey Banda, who loves Nkana Football Club, left, right, and center. He always talks about Bazo. But I think for me, the missing link up front, when it comes to consistency, I think BESTON would have given a chance to Jimmy Mukea to be part of the squad. I was very, very disappointed to see Eddie stand. I was looking for the young lad there. The young lad is missing in action. He's not part of the team that has been called. Probably because of that gruesome miss against Tunisia, the opportunity that he had in that match. But I think for me, when it comes to consistency and age and just contributing to the growth of the player, this young lad should have been called to the national team. Brilliant young man. I've watched him all the 3 games that Napsa Stars have played this season. I can safely say I have watched the young lad, and he still has the zeal and the anger to take on the defenders. He should have been part of this squad. That is the biggest missing link that I think BESTON has actually made with regards to consistency. He should have kept the young lad in the squad. Let the young lad learn from Patson Daka. Let the young lad get motivated from Fashion Sakala. Let the young lad get that feeling of being part of the experience of those that are plying their trade outside Zambia, so that he just gets to jet in and do the right thing. That's the biggest miss for me, and only hoping that even as Ziri organizes the team, one of the players will get injured in training and he calls him back.
Augustine, your closing remarks in 30 seconds.
I think a big thanks to the viewers out there that tuned in to watch the show. I think it's always a pleasure to be in your company, and it's been an interesting week. I think 4 Zambian representatives in continental football, 2 eliminated. Very, very disappointing. Is it the fact that they had not played some league games going into continental football? Maybe it may have contributed because they are not very, very sharp going into continental football. But I think we need to reorganize and attack continental football with a lot of aggression in the near future. And we just look forward to this weekend's fixtures, and I'm looking forward to Power Dynamos versus Forest Rangers. What a cracker. I think big thanks to the viewers, and big thanks to the entire production team for making this possible.
Well, Red Arrows versus Green Buffaloes tomorrow, interesting fixture, and I think for me, in my closing, I would like to thank the national team under 20 for putting a smile on the many faces of from the team, and to the viewers who've been with us, glued to the TV, to the callers, thank you very much, and we look forward to being with you next week, and all the best to the teams that are playing this afternoon, and to my Nkana Football Club. Tomorrow we go again.
Today Robson has confessed to my Nkana.
Oh, Nkana. It's a team in Zambia. It's for the Zambians, and you are also Zambian.
You know, on behalf of the whole Inda production team, Juan, Isaac upstairs, not forgetting Elijah, who is here directing us, and Pastor Moses and Victoria Chilo for giving us this platform to give you nothing but the best in terms of sports. We'll continue praising him and hoping to see you next week and give you nothing but the best highlights in terms of our team Ghana, which Uncle Rapson has said. I've been Amos, your host, aka Amore, and I'm out. See you next week Saturday for more information.